Hello all, welcome back to Current Affairs Headless Series. I am Guna Mathivanan from Officers IAS Academy. Friends, today we are going to discuss one of the most sought after topic, that is regarding Digital Personal Data Protection Act. I am going to explain this topic in two videos. In this video, we will be discussing some basic terminologies. What is data? What is personal data? What is personal sensitive data? What is non-personal data? What is data principal? What is data fiduciary? What is data processor or data processing? These informations let me explain in this video. So once we get a clarity on these terminologies, it becomes easy for us to further discuss about the act. That act I will be discussing in the next video. Right. So digital personal data. First we will try to understand what is data. So data, as we all know, it refers to a set of information. It can be information, instructions, opinion, anything, right? So it can be information, facts, it can be concepts, opinions. This is data. Now what is personal data? When I say personal data, that is with that set of data, I can identify a living person. With that set of data, I can identify a living person. For example, my phone number, my house address. Okay, if that is given, with which you can identify me. With that data, you can identify me. Say, for example, you are downloading an application, mobile application, or you are opening an account in social media, or you are downloading an application and say you want to order something in a food delivery application, food delivery app. You give your data, you give your name, you give your phone number, you give your address. Okay, so with that data, they can identify you. So with those data, if we are able to identify a living person, that is called as personal data. That is called as personal data. So these information that relates to an identified or identifiable living individual. See, sometimes different pieces of information can also be brought together to find out a particular person, particular individual. Scattered piece of information, when I collect it, and with which if I am able to identify, even that will amount to personal data. Okay, so personal data is very simple. With the data, with single piece of information or scattered pieces of information, if I am able to identify one person, okay, by reading all these informations, this is Guna, we are able to identify, then that is personal data. Now, personal sensitive data. Personal sensitive data. So, with that data, if some sensitive informations, for example, my religion, my caste, my biometrics, my health information, genetic informations, right? If all these we are able to identify, that is called as personal sensitive data. Right? My name, my phone number, my address, that is my personal data. But, okay, Guna belongs to this religion. Or Guna is an atheist. Guna belongs to this caste. Guna has these political opinions. Right? So, Guna has these philosophical beliefs. All these are sensitive informations. To whom I am going to vote is my personal choice. That shows my political opinion. Right? All these are personal sensitive data. Okay, this is personal sensitive data. Understand the difference between personal data and personal sensitive data. Right? Non-personal data. So we discussed about personal data. Now what is this non-personal data? Friends, it is a set of data with which you cannot identify a person. I have a set of data with which I cannot identify a person. That is non-personal data. Let's take the example of Swiggy, a food delivery application. I download this application. The application takes my name, Guna Mathivanan, phone number, my address, some more basic information it is obtaining from me. So it is taking my personal data. Right? Now, Swiggy also have non-personal data. For example, let us take an area X. Let us take an area X, right? that area which will have a 10-kilometer radius, which has a 10 kilometers radius. So in that area, let's say I am staying in that area X. Okay, now the Swiggy will know Swiggy is delivering in this area X. Swiggy is delivering in this area X. Now Swiggy will know roughly at least the food preferences of the people in this area X, whether they are eating veg or non-veg. Based on the number of orders coming to Swiggy, Swiggy can come to a conclusion, right? Okay, in this area X, more number of people, they are ordering non-veg meals or non-veg items. That is one information. Now, with this information, do you think you can identify a person? Definitely no. Similarly, now Swiggy will have other information. For example, whether people are ordering for breakfast or lunch or dinner, or at what time Swiggy is getting more delivery requests. Now Swiggy comes to know it is between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. Between 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Swiggy has more requests. That is another data. Look at this. Area X, a lot of people, they eat non-veg. That is one data. Second data, it is between 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. A lot of people, they are ordering food. These two are data. Now with this data, do you think you can identify any individual? Definitely no. Right? So these are non-personal data. These are a set of data which does not contain personally identifiable information. No individual or living person can be identified. Right? So this is non-personal data. We saw what is data. We saw what is personal data, personal sensitive data, what is non-personal data. Very simple. With the data, if you are able to identify a living person, personal data. If you are not able to identify, then that data is a non-personal data. Right? Now this act is trying to protect whom? Which data it is aiming to protect? Digital personal data protection. Digital personal data protection. Okay. So here we are focusing on personal data. This act is focusing on personal data. That too digital personal data. That means those data which are digitized. Those personal data which are digitized, which remains in paper, that is different. Something remains in paper, something different. Something remains in computer, something remains in digital format. My digital personal data in digital format, that has to be protected, for which only government came with this legislation. Right? Now, what is data principle? Data principle, very simple. The data belongs to an individual. That individual is called as data principle. Okay, now Swiggy knows my name, Guna Mathivanan, my phone number, 80 whatever, my apartment, my location, my address, all those informations. That information belongs to Guna. So Guna is the data principle. It means the natural person to whom the personal data relates. According to this act, if there's a child, the data principle will be the parents or the lawful guardian. If it is going to be a person with a disability, then the legal guardian will be the personal, data principle. So very simple, data principle refers to the individual. Okay, it refers to the persons whose data has to be protected. So Guna is giving information to Swiggy application. So Guna is the data principle. Okay, in the case of children, parents will become the data principle, or the legal guardian will become the data principle. Disabled, then the legal guardian becomes the data principle. Clear? Now, data fiduciary. So Swiggy is the data fiduciary, the person who is getting all the data. I am the one who is giving the data. I am called as data principal. Okay, the person who is getting the data, Swiggy, or you are opening an account in social media, that social media handle, or telecom service provider, you are giving the information to your broadband network or your mobile service provider, Airtel, Vodafone, they become the data fiduciary. Right? They will collect your data. They will collect your data. They use that data. Data principal, data fiduciary. Have clarity. Now, data processor. Data processor. It is the person who gets the data from the data fiduciary and will do all the processing work required. See, sometimes data fiduciary itself can process, but at times the data fiduciary will get the data. Data fiduciary will get the data, and that data will be processed by some third party for some other purposes. Right? The third party who does the processing work, that is called as that person is called as data processor. Right? I hope you got some clarity. These are very important terminologies from our exam point of view, as well as to understand the legislation. Because in the next video, I will be not explaining these terms separately, I will be using it casually. Okay, so please have clarity on what is data, what is personal data, what is personal sensitive data, what is non-personal data, what is data principal, what is data fiduciary, data processor. Have basic clarity. Right? Right, friends, I hope the video was useful. I hope you got some clarity. In the next video, we will discuss about the features of the Act in detail. Till then, bye. Take care.